they talk a little bit of stuff and they do some stupid stuff, but it's like hugely popular.
Yeah, there's a lot of channels out there that you find that you're like, these videos are really weird. And then you look and it's like 784,000 subscribers, and you're like, okay,
Yeah, how does
maybe
that
I should
happen?
follow their lead a little bit more.
Whenever I answer the phone, I'm like, hello.
What pissed you off?
It's a great argument to have.
I love my mom, but I think she's half crazy for doing that.
How dare you?
Do you work with your girlfriend, Mark, or your wife, Mark?
I keep them separated. Sometimes I call people, they don't answer the phone. I'm like, them.
Wrong number, click.
Well, he's not that smart. But sometimes he sounds like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Go.
But therefore, you're an ass, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, but what do we know? Some of it happens because some people get popular based on the way YouTube used to do some certain algorithms. They would learn how to exploit them or accidentally exploit them. One guy I know got really popular because he was playing, I think, Grand Theft Auto 5 online, and he was live streaming it using the YouTube live stream feature. And the way they had set it up at first, right when they went live with that, is every time somebody commented during the live stream, it counted it as a true comment on a video, which increased their engagement rating because it's about how many people are watching and how much your engagement is. And based on how high your engagement is how much YouTube advertises you as a channel. Because if your engagement is super high, they feel that people are really into the content. So all of a sudden, this guy got like on the front page of YouTube anytime anybody searched for Grand Theft Auto for like a month. And he just shot through the roof. And that was purely not trying to exploit something, but this dude just happened to do something right. And now he's got like 1 million subscribers because of the recognition he got right away.
I know that the highest grossing person from YouTube, like from the money from their ads, they just show her hands unwrapping Disney toys, and she'll describe what she's opening at, and she's like, I think she makes a couple million a year.
I don't know if hold on, let's find out. Let's go to Social Blade. Let's see who
Are you gonna challenge? You're gonna bet me on this?
Oh, he already searched it.
No, I haven't searched it yet. I stopped at the page. Because I used to know who was number one. I know they're not anymore. I know somebody who's in the top 10. Huh?
I was saying the most, who got paid the most from YouTube ad.
See,
so
how would you,
money
as of what, 2014?
And how would you find out the money that they made, like, officially from YouTube ads? Because the thing is, the site that I'm about to go to is only going to give you an estimated earning report, because it's not a true earnings report, because they don't sell the ads. They just are tracking, you know, views and subscribers and things like that.
And how you have your ads also changes the amount of money you get from it. So like if you do full video or people click on or the little pop-ups, it changes. I couldn't tell you for sure.
So how did you find the statistic?
I just read it online.
You made it up.
Yeah, top of my head.
Yeah, I don't think it's something we can bet on because I'm not sure we can find an official answer. I was just going to look at who the number one YouTube person was right now, because you would assume the number one person on YouTube with the most views is going to make the most money, because that would be the assumption.
She might have the most views. I know the reason why she makes a lot of her money is, like, basically parents would have her videos go on.
You should have tried to convince me.
Is she number one?
Because the number one person is called Disney Collector BR. So.
Oh.
I would have won that bet, but.
So I would have to.
Unfair, though,
I would have to bet that is probably the person you're talking about. Let me turn the sound down on this, and then look in the middle of a video and see if it's just hands.
Well, I mean, it seems really unfair. It seems unfair if I would bet you on that, because that's something I read from a website, reputable website. So, like, I almost know the answer for 100% sure.
Yet you didn't bet him.
What's the matter with
Well,
you?
I think
This
I
now
said I would want to bet him, but he said that it wouldn't be possible to find out, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, if you don't want to bet,
now the
Oh,
question would be how something like this.
yeah.
Why did it take over and become so popular to make so much money?
Oh,
I
I was
I couldn't tell you.
well. The reason why she has so many viewers is it's something safe that you can have on the computer, and you can just set your 3 or 4 year old, and they love watching those kind of videos, and then it would just watch 20 videos at a time instead of like
somebody
another
opening
website where you
stuff?
would watch
Yeah.
just that episode.
Yeah, they're literally just opening Disney toys.
My kids would not like that.
I don't know. Set your 3 year old or 4 year old in front of the TV
Getting
screens.
getting between 8 and 10,000 new subscribers per day with 14 million views per day.
I can guarantee my kids would much rather watch What Does the Fox Say? Because we've watched that 8,000 friggin'
Yeah.
times already.
Oh, you know what? Actually, this wouldn't have necessarily. I still can't even guarantee that they made the most money because their subscriber rank, they're 175th subscriber rank on YouTube. They're the 6th video view rank, but they're #1 Social Blade rank, which is the site that I'm using for this, which estimates your earnings, but they still don't know. So I wonder why they are higher than the #1 video view rank
I
person.
wonder if Disney pays them
I'm sure
No.
they do.
advertisement fee. Well, there you go. If they do that, they have
Well,
a lot of.
but the thing that I read said this is just money from YouTube, not counting any other sources of income.
Oh yeah, PewDiePie is #1 video view rank.
Pootie Pie.
PewDiePie. And rumor has it that that guy was a lot of his popularity came from because he started. What country was he in? He started in a certain country that they didn't have many YouTube people from at the time, and YouTube really demographically was going out and advertising a lot of some of their channels from different like countries.
Okay.
And then he
Right.
moved to a different country that also didn't have many viewers at the time. So he ended up like double dipping in like this YouTube advertisement type thing. But I don't know if that's true or not. That was a rumor that I heard because he does video game stuff a lot.
Right.
So I know that name very well. I don't
Yeah, it
even
was,
see Ray William Johnson on here anymore, who used to be #1.
That was
Who?
on
Ray
South
William
Park, right?
Johnson.
PewDiePie?
Oh, was PewDiePie in South Park? Yeah,
I
probably.
think so.
Yeah, I'm
I
looking
don't
at this
know.
list, and a lot of these are not nearly as familiar as they were to me a while ago.
I don't really play too many video games anymore, but I actually have a little more time than I used to, like free time wise now.
And you just
Is
use
it
that time
because
to
you don't play
masturbate.
video games anymore?
No, I was gonna say, so like if I was ever going to start making, like a crossover video like we were kind of talking about, like now is an awesome time.
So start making videos, get a YouTube account, start putting some stuff out there, see what happens.
Well, what do you want to play?
I don't know.
Hey, tell me what's up.
We can
I don't
play.
even know anymore.
We can play. We can let the viewers suggest what game we should play together.
I was playing my PlayStation 3, like NCAA football 2012, like 2 hours ago. So,
I don't own that.
yeah.
Nor a
Right.
PlayStation 3.
Well, like I can't really play that a lot of newer games because my laptop doesn't have a very good graphics card. But I want to ask you something about the future of laptops. Okay.
The
One of the things
future.
that
You want the future of laptops.
right.
Let's
So
do
one of the
this.
things that I saw is that I think it was Alienware that's making external hard drive, external graphics cards that you can connect to your computer. I think through USB 3, and it instead of using your computer's graphics card, it uses an external graphics card.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking that's exactly where we need to go with the future of laptops because most
So,
cases I don't need a
okay.
good graphics card, but when I'm home.
I assume that means neither one of you two remember me screaming at the top of my lungs like 15 years ago that we needed to create computer systems that were like plug and play all the way around. where if you ever wanted to upgrade your system at some point, you literally just made like the motherboard sort of plug and play compatible for any exponent you needed so that
But it sort of
when
is.
what's that?
But it sort of is. Like a lot of motherboards is plug and play. You could add new hard drives, you could add new graphics cards, you could
I mean,
add
and
new chips to a point.
they have been for a very long time. So I'm trying to think of back when you would have been arguing this, that we would have been against that thought process.
No, not no, I'm not saying being against it, but being to the point where it's all sort of external, like Mark is talking about now, where if, all right, my hard drive is not big enough now, I can literally grab the hard drive, pull it out, put a new one in that is much bigger, and the whole system is just sort of externally plug and play.
You mean so because you can do all that now. They just your standard PC setup is closed. You have to open it to do such things.
Oh no.
But you could have an external hard drive that you
Yeah,
could
that's what I
just
was
plug
gonna
a
say.
new
Right.
one in.
Are you talking about
own
external
an
hard
external
drives?
hard drive, yes. What you're talking about, yes, opening up the PC and do. My whole idea was making it sort of like a skeleton type system where at any point you can, instead of getting into your computer and having to wear, an anti-static sort of wristband type situation, it's all just sort of externally plug and play and
Hot swappable.
yeah, anything you want to swap out for an upgrade is super easy. You just pull it out, put the new one in,
You're
that kind
talking like similar to the new cell phone Android's trying to push or Google's trying to push. They're coming out with a cell phone where basically you can hot swap the parts of it, like the processor, the screen, or whatever, to your specifications that you want. So if you want a better camera lens, you can swap that in and out, and it's all like you don't have to actually open up the case. You just slide it out and you slide a new one in, right?
I've been saying PCs should evolve that direction for literally 15 years at this point.
See, the thing is with PCs, I'm almost like right now I'm saying it's so similar. It's not that difficult, I guess, to swap parts in and out, but maybe for certain people it might be.
Well, the thing is, they have had hard drives for many, many years that are external bays that they work as internal hard drives, but there's a bay on the front that you pull them out and put different ones in. I worked at those when I was with the government for a long time. But other than that, that's not your standard by any means. Yeah. And other than that, besides like just a peripheral that you'd be using USB, I guess they really don't have too much of that because like you're talking about the graphics card, Mark. They don't have that. Yeah.
And yes, I want that to be upgradable. I want, sound cards to be all of that. That was my idea literally at this point 15 years ago, that all of that should be, you should make it so that it's, plug and play, like, is sort of difficult because you run into sort of connectivity and like speed issues.
Right.
But something along that line where any component of the computer you want to change out and upgrade should be very easily to the like computer novice, quote unquote. Well, just you unplug it, you plug in a new one that's upgraded.
Well, in theory, you can do that. You just have to open it. Like that's the thing is you have to open it up.
No, here's the thing for me. See, I understand your theory, Mike, but the problem with that is you don't want to have like 15 pieces of crud all over your desk when you can have it inside your computer case. The difference is that a laptop, you can't add a very nice graphics card. You can't open up your laptop and add a very good graphics card. And you're also limited to the storage space that you can put into your laptop. So that's why you would want an external hard drive. But with a case, like a PC tower, you could add a whole bunch of hard drives. You could add a really nice graphics card, and keep it all contained in one box. The only difference is I would like a laptop where I could take it on the go, and then also have a good graphics card, and that's the only thing that I can't have with a laptop now than I over a tower.
But when you talk about like a desktop PC,
Right.
yes, for the three of us who have some experience with opening up a PC and, changing a video card or something like that, yes, that's easy. But for the everyday user who is not comfortable with opening up their case and taking stuff out and, changing it out, if you could build some sort of system to where it almost looks like a rib cage of a skeleton, which is why I kind of, referred to it as like skeletal earlier, where you can just literally, all right, this like rib cage section is the video card. If you don't like it or it's not performing to your expectations, take it out, put a new one in that's a big upgrade. And yes, you would have to buy this separately, but if you just make it to where you can pull it out, put the new one in, and go, it's
No,
less.
I understand what you're saying, and I like, and to a degree, I have to say like I don't think your idea is very bad. It's that the extra cost of setting up a let's say motherboard or a computer case so you could accommodate an easy plug and play would probably be an extra cost that might be make the PC more expensive to begin with, and for the parts to be plug and play, that would probably increase an additional cost. And most users would probably be saying like, when I buy a PC, I want to have all the best parts for it anyways. I'm not going to upgrade my computer, although that's something that they should be doing. Um, it probably won't like I think the money versus people actually doing the plug and play, it just wouldn't it doesn't work out.
I think the biggest problem that you're running into in today's day and age with what you're saying is the fact that people who buy a PC so that they can have more power, so that they can upgrade it. They know what they're doing. Whereas your layman, your computer novices nowadays, they just buy a laptop.
Right.
And I believe that that's where pretty much everything has gone because laptops are cheap now. They're so
and they're
cheap.
convenient.
And
Well,
people,
so are desktops at this point.
right, but they would rather buy something like when you look at do I buy a cheap desktop or do I buy a cheap laptop? What are the pros and cons of these? Desktop, more powerful, better graphics, but it stays there. It's big, it's bulky, it doesn't move.
It takes
Laptop,
up more space.
it's movable. So you're looking at I think 5 to 10 years ago, your concept had a little bit more like the easily upgradable by the novice user would have made a lot more sense, except for the laptop market has changed like the way everything is.
But so the only thing I have with my laptop, because they're trying to make laptops that are gaming machines, but they're really never really good gaming machines because you can't actually put a very good graphics card onto a laptop unless you make it look ridiculous, which I wouldn't mind, but they're also usually ridiculously expensive and it's not upgradable. Anyways, with this Alienware, they basically have a PC tower graphics card that's separate that you could I think the power is also separate, so it has like an AC adapter or something like that, but it keeps the heat away from the laptop. You basically have a computer that is a really good gaming machine, and all you pay is for the new graphics card basically.
I think that'd be kind of cool
now with
because
USB 3.
if it gave me something that I could take with me and not have to take the bulky graphics card when I don't need it, save power, save battery life, things like that, but I could also take it somewhere and then sit down and game with it.
Right.
I think that would be very beneficial to myself.
Right.
For what I do.
And for laptops, really, you don't really need a good laptop. The only reason why you would spend a lot on a laptop is if you need a really good graphics card on your laptop, and that's something I would like to keep separate. Like, because when I upgrade my laptop, I would still have a really good graphics card, or maybe I have the same laptop, but all I need to do is buy a new graphics card to have all the latest and greatest, processing power. But as far as I know, Alienware makes it so you can't use it with other laptops. So I don't know if
that's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's what Apple does, and they're awesome, right?
well, no, but they
They make
are
a ton of
they're
money, so
making a
they're
ton of money. Yes, they are
right.
not awesome.
It'd
Sorry,
be great
Apple.
if it'd be
Apple, if
great
you
if
want to change my opinion, send me free stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say Apple does not care what you think because they make a fortune.
Maybe Bill Gates, not Bill Gates. That wasn't the guy. He was the opposite guy. Steve Ballmer. Well, Steve Ballmer doesn't even run an Apple anymore, is he? Didn't he step down and go to
Steve
somebody
Yeah,
else?
I
Jobs.
think
Well,
so.
Steve Jobs died, but Steve Ballmer
Ah,
had taken over a while before.
Microsoft.
Microsoft. Wait, who the hell took over
Steve Ball-
from Steve Jobs then?
It's not Steve Ballmer's and
You're right.
Bill
Steve.
Gates made
You're
Microsoft.
right. It
So
was Steve
it's
Ballmer.
Alan. Was it Alan something?
Either way, that guy, maybe he peruses random podcasts from time to time to see if people are talking about anything that he could make millions of dollars on, or just to get customer feedback on his products. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's possible. Mike, you
Well,
seem
do
so
you-
doubtful. You wait until whoever this guy is emails us and offers us free
will I
stuff.
be able to find him between all the new user?
he's gonna
requests
he's gonna
people?
actually just register on the website and hope that you notice that he registered. But
I want to piss off a lot of Apple fans, but I have a very hard time telling the difference between Apple's first iPhone and the iPhone 6 now. It's a little bit bigger, it has better cameras, has better processor, but it's not like because every single year I hear like how great the design is. They just make it thinner every single year. They maybe change the casing from like metal to glass to metal again.
I mean,
But
I
it,
guess the same could be
So
said about Androids.
yeah, so I mean, I
yeah,
totally agree. Like, but I don't think that every single year we should say, oh, man, Apple's new design for their iPhone is fantastic. It looks very similar,
yeah.
and also their OS too.
I was gonna say I think like the whole thing with Apple is that not that it's super great, but it's because we're kind of humans are sort of geared to gravitate towards things that they're comfortable with.
Mm.
And because Apple has not changed all that much, like you said, from the iPod to the iPhone 6, we're comfortable with it. So it's a super easy transition from one model to the next. And by the way, in case you haven't noticed, Apple makes all their stuff super easy to go from one version to the next and makes it super hard to transfer over to, Android like you guys were talking about. So I really believe that that's why Apple is where they are now. It's not because it's such a great product, because there are plenty of things, and I'm on my second iPhone now, and I'm probably going to go to my third, fairly soon. But that's basically the biggest straw is because Apple makes it super easy to go to the next model and goes out of their way to make it harder to transition away from them.
So you're telling me you're not going to buy the Microsoft VR set?
I
The
don't
do
know
you,
what
do you know what I'm talking about? So Microsoft's basically coming out with the Windows 10, but one of the big
Yeah,
surprises
by the
is
way,
they
they're
brought,
going to Windows 10 because 8 was so bad they just figured they'd skip over 9 and go to 10.
right. They're also bringing out a new a new search engine, Spartan or whatever, which so they're not using Internet Explorer, but I think it's just basically
Good.
Internet Explorer that's connected with Cortana, the voice thing. But also what they did was the VR set. Basically, you put on something like virtual reality, it, but it doesn't block your vision. So it's sort of like the Google Glass, where it's augmented reality. And they think might be the big push for Windows 10 is where instead of having monitors, you just put on this VR set, and then you could talk to people. You could play games using like I don't know your background for the game, and it's supposed to use like integrated with Minecraft. So that's why they spent like billions of dollars buying Minecraft. You haven't seen this ad? Those
No.
ads?
So
No,
nothing you've said right now appeals to me.
No, it's.
I heard
don't know if this-
Minecraft.
I don't know if this is
I
the
don't play
future per se, but Google Glass looks like it's just going to crash and burn. And this is something,
But they already pulled production of
right?
Google Glass.
And I think this is something that might replace the Google Glass, where it would probably be competing with Oculus Rift for like VR space or whatever. But I don't know.
I mean,
sort of
if
like
you're talking
video.
about it being comparable to Oculus Rift versus Google Glass, then I definitely see why they're going to that space. Those are two completely different products, Google Glass and Oculus Rift.
Right.
I have zero draw to either.
I have a lot of draw to Oculus Rift. Oculus Rift, I think, looks amazing. I've used it at like conventions and things like that as well, and I think it's going to be the future of gaming once it gets perfected and games start porting over to it, because it's a whole different world when you're in a 3D surrounded space in this reality playing a game. I'm not sure about phone calls per se, but I guess they could take it in that direction if you have it working for things that are actually appealing to people.
But what happened if you could do what Oculus Rift does, but you could also see the background, so you're not tripping over stuff?
I don't see
Or
how you can
colliding
get a good
walls.
picture anymore then. But
Well, I mean, you've seen how Google Glass works, right?
yeah,
And you have,
Once.
basically you have an image.
once
and
some
then
some little 12-year-old kid coincidentally had Google Glass and let me like try it on. I don't know how he got Google Glass, but he had Google Glass and he let me play with it for a little bit.
well, instead of Google Glass just being up in the corner, it's basically your whole field of vision, and then you can have things display in front of you, like your
But
Skype call.
you can't get a gaming feel out of something that you can.
Well, actually, that's the thing. Like, they basically make a holographic image in front of you, and then you can manipulate it with your hands. So instead of like Oculus Rift, you actually have to use I'm assuming you have to use a game controller.
I mean,
I'm not
to him in
exactly
some
sure
ways,
how-
it's got gyroscopes in it, so when you move left and right, like you're looking
Right.
around your field of view.
Same thing with Google Glass, but on top of that, you can use your hands to manipulate things in front of you. So, like, let's say you're playing Minecraft, you're just using your hands to move objects into where space you want it to be in.
I have to look more into this because
I think you have to look into it. I mean-
anything about it.
Innovation and Microsoft, those are two things I didn't think went well together. But like, the more I look into Microsoft 10 and what they're planning to do with it, there might be a possibility where Microsoft makes Apple look old.
I have zero appeal to anything you guys are talking about right now.
Yeah, he's saying right now, but 5 years from now, I'll be talking to you on a Google Visor or whatever they call it. I mean, not Google, a Microsoft Visor.
I don't think so. I mean, literally, we were just talking a couple minutes ago about how I'm still playing my PlayStation 3, like,
Well, one of
I
the
have
things that
zero draw to any of this stuff.
one of the things that I really liked about it is that you could like pin, let's say, a screen to a wall. So when you're looking at a wall, it looks like you're looking at like a big screen TV. So in theory, you could have like a really, really huge screen TV using these visors and not have to buy a big giant screen TV or have one, taking up space in your living room.
I mean, I think conceptually, and I'm surprised, Mike, that you're not interested at all because it sounds really cool. It sounds futuristic. It sounds like what we expected to be in today's day and age 15 years ago when you were yelling
Yeah.
about making plug-and-play computers.
parts. and
Well, but my plug and play computer idea was more for like the idea of the computer being a better tool. And
So not really
faster.
thinking that futuristically, just thinking of what the present was at the time and making it a little better, as opposed to making leaps and bounds into the virtual reality space instead.
Well, I frankly, so without getting like too into too big of a conversation, like video games kind of hold people back, I
They
think.
don't have to be video games, though. If you listen to what Mark said, it's not about video games. It's just about
Yeah.
the future, making a wall of TV.
Of TV, yes.
That's
So TV
partially
holds people
TV.
back too,
What do you mean
does it
holds people
not?
back? I don't know. Are you an old man? What are you talking about?
Back in
TV,
his
video
day,
games, I love
TV
video
didn't
games or
even
whatever.
exist.
I don't understand what you mean by TV hold you back. I mean, like, of course, if all you do is watch TV, yes, maybe it makes you less productive. But I
Okay,
mean,
so there
there
you
are
go. Why are you
uses.
focused on making TV a better experience if it
Do
holds you
you not want
literally
TV to be a
just
better
admitted
experience?
that it
I mean,
holds
I
us
mean,
back?
where do you get your news, Mike?
Where do I get my news?
Yeah.
Most of the time, Twitter.
It's holding you back. It's too futuristic. It's holding you
You're
back. You
reading,
could be out there doing something else.
reading
I mean,
too much
I
on the
don't think it,
Twitters.
I mean,
No,
like people
because
who read books
what
too
you
much, it
guys are
holds you back.
arguing is that I need a 3D version of Twitter that I can sit in my house and put glasses on and
That's
No,
one
okay,
thing
absorb
wait,
you
wait,
myself
wait.
in all
could
the
do
time.
with
No.
it.
What did your cell phone with internet allow you to do? It lets you use the internet while being more mobile. I'm talking about instead of sitting down and doing all your computer work at your desk, you could actually be walking around doing computer work or whatever task that you need to do while being mobile. So it's basically having a cell phone that you
Well,
could look
watching
at without
3D
having to
TV, I
look
don't
down at the
understand
cell
how that
phone.
makes me more productive.
Well,
You
maybe
you sound like a crotchety old man, Mike. You
Huh?
really do.
My wife accuses me of that all the time. I'm just trying to understand how watching 3D TV on
Well,
goggles
why do
makes me a
you
more
why are
productive
you going
member
to
of
upgrade to
society.
the next iPhone? Why don't you downgrade back to the first phone that had like a rotary dial and didn't come off the wall? I don't see like
Okay, no, when we're talking about being productive on my phone, that's one thing. But when we're talking about putting on goggles and watching 3D TV,
no.
that's
I'm
a
just
luxury item that does not make
that's
me more
one thing
productive.
you
In
could do
fact, it
with
makes
it.
me less
So,
productive because I'm doing
what about when the Wii came out?
recreational activities.
The Wii came out as a gaming system. All of a sudden, it has this interactive controller, but it's still for gaming. People
Correct.
took that and turned it into a productive
The
thing.
Wii is not productive. No.
The Wii itself, the Wiimote is though. You can get a lot of programs online and create your own. Like you can turn your wall into a big PowerPoint presentation where you can have it drawing on the screen for people who are watching your presentation for you. You can do a
I can
lot
do
of
that with a laptop computer. I don't need a Wii to do
You
that.
crotchety old man. Oh my god, crotchety old man.
No, I'm doing
What?
exactly what you're
What?
telling me the Wii is beneficial for, but I can do it on the laptop that I'm
Really?
broadcasting this podcast from.
I understand you, Mike, but why type anything on a computer when you can use a typewriter perfectly doing the exact same thing that a computer can do?
That's not true. A typewriter cannot make this into a PowerPoint presentation.
You could
Well,
if you
there go.
formatted
That's
it
what I'm
right.
saying is, yeah, I'm giving you just a couple examples of what this VR set can do, but there's more possibilities that maybe I can't think of or you can't think of off the top of your head that you can use this in different situations. Like let's say that it makes you more productive by wearing this headset that gives you more information. It scans, let's say, a face, and it gives you more data, so you know what your work, like one of the workers that you manage, has to be doing. So you can see like, oh, they accomplished these tasks, but they still need to do these tasks. Or maybe while you're talking to someone else, you can also order parts for things that you may need for your job. I mean, I don't know exactly everything that this VR set might possibly do, but it gives you an option to do more things that you're limited to do now. Like,
Okay, and when you can come to me with concrete evidence that this technology is going to make me a more productive member of society,
let me
then
give you an
cool,
example.
I'm good with that.
Let me give you an example. You go to your computer anytime to use the internet, right?
Okay.
And you can use your cell phone now to search the internet. would you say you're more productive now that you have the mobility to search the web, while instead of having to go to your computer every single time you want to look something up?
Well, I would make the argument that you pretty much have a computer everywhere now.
Right. That's what I'm saying with the VR set. It gives you more ability for things that you couldn't do when you relied on other machines. Like you require a giant screen TV. You require a computer. You require your cell phone.
I will never
You
ever
can do all
require
those-
a giant screen TV.
You're very
Well,
defensive about
you-
this TV thing, man. Just because
yeah,
football
well,
season's
I am not
over
a-
doesn't
yeah.
mean that TV goes away.
No, I'm not a TV guy. In fact, I don't. I let my kids watch maybe a half hour of TV a day if they're
Okay.
lucky. Like I'm very much against kind of the culture we've created now with binge watching and TV like it is now. I don't agree with that at all.
But let me give you another example then. Let's say you're on a flight to some business meeting and you're watching a presentation through this VR set versus, not being able to do anything on an airplane or
Well, I mean, you could watch it
I
on a
don't know.
laptop.
Watch
I mean,
it.
that's-
Yes, I don't
but
know.
either way,
Or on a bus.
But so
I mean, how often are you going to bring out a laptop on a bus?
you agree that the laptop is a good thing.
Correct.
So, I mean, this is just kind of like advancing the laptop another stage. I mean, I don't see why that's a problem and why that's bad.
Well, because I think we advance to certain stages.
We advance too
where-
fast. We need to scale back a little bit. We're too good
No,
at-
I'm not even saying advance too fast, but I'm saying we can advance too far for it to be a good, constructive level for society.
I agree we could. I don't think this is what's going to put us over the edge.
I don't really exactly see what.
I think
like,
Mike was
yeah.
molested by this Microsoft VR set at some point recently.
No, I mean, I think what Mike's trying to say is that
Technology
become-
is not good for us as a civilization.
okay,
I disagree with that statement completely.
Well, and that's fine. You guys can. And I think most of the world probably agrees with you.
No, let me give you an example of technology that you use on a daily basis that I don't think you can even argue that it's not good for you. That light above your head. Do you think the world would be better without that technology?
Absolutely
Like, there's
not.
no. Okay. How about the internet? If we got rid of the internet, would that make the world a better place?
If I had time to, well, probably not.
I think there's a yes and a no to that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I
particular
think I
question,
could
but
probably make a
What
fairly
are you,
substantial
China?
argument that maybe. But I think a lot of the direction we're going with the internet and evolving with the internet is not good for society. Facebook, Twitter, like all that stuff. I don't think our brains are just equipped for that sort of informational overload that we're constantly subjected to nowadays.
See, I would agree if you're like a 90-year-old person looking at these computers and it seems like a lot of information. But a lot of the kids, like your kids probably, can do a lot more with technology and probably multitask just because they grow up with it and they evolve basically with that kind of
I'm
understand.
really happy you just said that because there was actually a show, I believe it was on History Channel not too long ago, called, I think it was Brain Games.
he does.
Okay.
He sounds like a 90-year-old watching the History Channel.
Scientifically proved that multitasking is not capable with the human brain. So
Right, we're one. Yeah, but here's the thing: is that while we can't do two things or pay attention to two things at once, we can switch between two things more quickly in a way that's sort of like multitasking. Like when you drive, when you talk, when you drive, it actually lowers your ability to perceive things. Or if you're
Right.
listening, it's the same thing. But if you take someone who driven for a longer period of time, they're going to be much better at driving than, let's say, a new teenager behind the wheel, because you basically train your brain to be able to look at things
Well, but
quickly and
that's experience. That older person is not going to be better at talking on the phone and driving because
okay,
that's just not something our
so
brains adapt to.
so like I said, like you're basically gaining experience while doing all these multitasking things, which then in turn mean
No,
that you
no, no,
become
no.
better at it.
That's not true at all. I pretty much exactly proved what I was going for with yes, if the older person is better at driving, yes, that's correct. But the older person is not any better at talking on the phone and driving. They're still have to focus on one objective at a time.
I don't know. I don't see. I don't know. I
It's a
have a study,
proven,
but it's
it's scientific.
proven that a teenager learning to drive and talking on the phone is going to be just as equal as an older person
Google
learning to drive and talking
when
on the phone. I
when you get a chance, take a Google search of is talking on the phone as bad as drunk driving.
no, okay. See, I think what you're getting confused is you're saying that uh, even with experience, you're not going to be as good as a driver while listening or talking on the phone. I'm saying is a person who with experience doing those three things are going to be better than a person without those three, without the experience.
Well, that's absolutely true, but I could also make the same argument that if I have shot a gun 1,000 times, I'm going to be a better drunken shooter
Exactly.
than a
Okay.
person who has only got drunk and shot one time.
So my point
That
being
doesn't
is,
make me a good shooter
well,
because I'm
what I'm saying,
hammered and I'm shooting a gun.
but you're saying that basically multitasking, uh, it's something that we're not good at, so we should not try to multitask at all.
No, well, yes, I am saying that because I'm saying multitasking, as far as I've read and seen, is impossible with the human brain. The human brain can only process one thing at a time.
I don't think that's true though. I mean, you walk and talk. That's two things at one time. And your brain also like beats your heart and regulates your body system and controls your eyes and I mean, you're doing thousands of things at the same time. That's
Well,
multitasking.
seek out that show. It's called Brain Games, and I believe it's on the History Channel. But they did an episode specifically geared to that, and they plucked out people who were like self-renowned multitaskers, and they put them to these tests where they had to drive a car and try to figure out word puzzles at the same time.
Right. And how
And
many
all of
times did
them
they
failed miserably at it,
right,
even though
right.
they like had companies where they constantly have to do all these things at the same
Let me
time.
ask you. Let me ask you. Was this over a course of a year? Oh,
I
so
don't
you're saying the first
know.
time experience with doing something, they're not great at it.
The point is, these people are probably good at shifting what
No,
they're
they're good
thinking
at
about at
doing
one time, but it's not a good thing
no.
to think about.
Were they
You
driving
can't think about
manuals?
things.
Were they driving manuals?
I don't remember that.
So what does good at shifting have to do with anything, Mike?
No, but my point is, let's say they did this. Let's say over a course of a month, every single day they had to try to do this. I bet you at the end of the month they could probably do a lot better job than their first time experience. If I let's say there's two things that you're good at, Mike, but you never tried to do them at the same time. Your first time trying to do that experiment would not be as productive as your 10th or 15th time.
I want the listeners to weigh in at this
So
point.
that's
I want to know if the listeners think, because one thing I think that's going to resonate with everybody, or two things actually in this conversation is going to resonate with everybody are, do you think that technology is going too far or not? And two, I'm curious what people want to say about, do you think that talking on a cell phone is worse or just as bad as drunk driving? And that's the one that I really, because that's the one that I'm going to, right when we're done here, I'm going to do some research on that because I've looked stuff up like that before, and the answer's always been no, that everything that came out to try to say that talking on a phone was as bad as drunk driving was all opinionated based
Well,
research that was done that was pretty much proven wrong shortly after. But it was years ago that I looked this stuff up, so there easily could be new, more in-depth studies done. But I want people, before we actually look this up, to know.
I would say being very tired is probably equivalent to being drunk, but talking to someone.
Yeah, I can't agree that talking on the cell phone, in my opinion, would not be equal to or as bad as drunk driving.
And take this for what it's worth, but Mythbusters tested that and found that it's just as bad.
I'd have to go watch that Mythbusters episode. Thought I watched them all. I haven't seen that one yet.
Yep.
Did they try this 15 times? Did they get experienced?
So listeners,
I mean, but anyways,
let us know what you think.
I mean, this is kind of a classical, we sort of touched on not that long ago, which actually maybe not even is going to be in this episode, but when we touched on the vaccination type thing, I think this kind of falls along the same lines as like parental preference. But I mean, for me and my family, we're toning back. You know, Jake is 4 at this point. We're trying not to expose him to video games just in case. I mean, we feel like the less screen time Jake is exposed to at this point is, for the better.
Okay, Hitler. Won't tell you how to parent. All right, guys. That's it for us.
See you later.
Cheers. I look forward to all the email disagreeing with me on this one. But thanks for listening.
See you guys.
Want to follow us on social media? Like the What Do We Know Facebook page? Follow us on Twitter at WDWK Podcast. Email us at wdwkpodcast@gmail.com or find us at our home on the interwebs, wdwkpodcast.com.
Sometimes I call people, they don't answer the phone. I'm like,
wrong number, click.
Well, he's not that smart. Sometimes he sounds like he knows what he's doing.
Go.
Therefore, you're an ass, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, but what do we know?